Hello and welcome. This video is going to be a what sold video, and it's going to be for everything that sold on my not live platforms for the week of April 15th to April 21st. Miss Moxie is here, as you can hear in the background and now see her tail, so don't worry, she's here. And we're going to start with my lowest performing platform first and then work our way up, and I'm going to have to move Miss Moxie in the meantime, otherwise my butt will just yeet her off of this ottoman. So the first platform I have to share with you is Mercari. I am also shocked. So I started cross-posting on Mercari in January, and I have made this one sale on Mercari for $8 for this Auburn Under Armour piece. I picked this up because it was $3 at a Goodwill, and I figured I'd try it. A lot of people have luck with collegiate stuff. I don't necessarily, unless it's vintage. And you can see that this took a long time to sell. Well, it took me cross-posting it on to Mercari, and I've had this for like almost 2 years at this point. So yeah, I will not pick this up again, and again, this is my only sale on Mercari. It sold for $8. So am I grateful for this sale? Absolutely. Am I going to continue cross-posting on Mercari? If this is literally my only sale in 6 months, probably not. And it so far is my only sale in 6 months, so. I know a lot of people have great success with Mercari. Isn't for me, it seems like, or maybe I'm not for Mercari. I don't know how you wanna roll that. So the next platform is Etsy, which is much better than my one Mercari sale, even though I only made one Etsy sale, and it is this probe leather jacket. So this is an interesting vintage jacket. It's actually gifted to me by my Uncle Dave. His father sadly passed away, but his mom gave me a lot of his father's stuff to sell if I wanted to, and I did actually decide to list a lot of his vintage jackets. And this one sold for my full asking price of $65, and the individual actually paid an additional $30 to have it shipped to Mexico. So this was an amazing sale, and I'm very grateful for it. It was a suede leather in the body, and then the collar and the sleeves were knit, so it was like sweater material. And it did have one hole in the back of one of the sleeves, which I closed up and disclosed, and it still sold for $65. So from free $99 to $65, I think is a great sale. I probably would have picked this up at a thrift store, knowing that I would have to sit on it for a while, just because it was a really cool vintage piece, and I knew that the right buyer would be out there. I probably wouldn't pay more than $10 for it though, just because I would have to sit on it for so long. And now let's move on to eBay, because eBay is my main bay. Oop, I'm gonna pick Miss Moxie up again. Little Willy, look at her little feet. So the first sale I have to share with you on eBay is this vintage Pendleton blazer. This is also an international sale, except I didn't really care where this went. That's not true. I think actually this went to Japan, and I was surprised by that. But it sold for my full asking price of $29.87. This is one of those silk blend blazers, and this, I had a bunch of suit sets from this big vintage buyout, and I listed the suit sets, almost all of them separately. And this is why. So the blazer sold, the skirt has not sold, but this sold relatively quickly after listing this, and I did list this for Money Pile Monday. This next item is a pair of Cole Haans. I don't really pick up Cole Haans anymore unless they're the Grand OS, and mostly men's. This is a pair of Grand OS's. I paid $5 for this at the Dav, I think, and it sold for $15. These were a beautiful pair of nude pumps, so I thought that they would do well, and they did. They sold for 3 times my investment, so I'm very happy with this. These are some Federal Glass Tom Collins glasses that I have legitimately had forever. That's because I put them in a banker's box and put them in my death pile and just forgot about them. I've had these for probably over a year before I decided to actually list them for Money Pile Monday, and they sold for $22, and the buyer paid $13.50 for shipping. Pretty much everything is the buyer pays for shipping. I just don't necessarily disclose that because it's on the screen and you guys can read. I know sometimes it's really small because y'all are watching on your phones, but I have faith in you. So that's why I don't necessarily tell you how much the shipping is unless I refund it, because it's too much. Anyway, this I have Brett to thank, not because he bought it, but because he gifted me a big old stack of postcards that he purchased and was not going to list, and he gave them to me because he knows how much I love ephemera. Postcards don't sell for a whole lot, but they do sell. And this one sold for $2.30, and they get shipped eBay standard envelope. So they just go in a number 10 envelope, and you print out a 4x6 label and it gets tracked, but they have some limitations. Hopefully I'm showing you the limitations, or at least most of them, on the screen. I'll also put a link in the description if you don't understand what eBay standard envelope is. It's also really good if you sell cards or stamps, because it qualifies for that as well. It's just a really cheap and easy way to get trackable shipping on eBay for these small lightweight items. So this next item is something I picked up at that estate sale that I got kicked out of. This was gorgeous. It was an amazing 90s piece, 80s, 90s, from the Sears. So this is the men's store for Sears, which is roughly that time period. I think they stopped having the men's store branded in Sears, I think in the early 90s. I just thought that this was amazing, and somebody else did because they paid full price for it. They paid $21.87 and the buyer paid for shipping, and I just thought this piece was too cool. I mean, it's rare you find a white garment and it has nothing wrong with it, and this was crisp. I think this may have never been worn, and they just like took the tags off it and had this in their closet for like, 40 years and never wore it, but it was amazing. All right, this is from the Thriftmas, one of the Thriftmas videos you guys never got to see because my computer hard drive died. This is my first time finding Holt Howard. Holt Howard is a mid-century designer. It made a lot of really cool kitschy looking items. Man, Holt Howard, if you find, almost all of it's marked. It's really easy to see. It's normally marked with Holt Howard or HH, and then a lot of it's also marked with a year, which is chef's kiss amazing for us resellers. And I saw this set and I was like, oh my god, did I really find Holt Howard for the first time? Which is why, again, I'm so sad that footage was lost, because I found Johnny Was for the first time and I found Holt Howard for the first time. And I bought all of this because Goodwill normally prices sets as sets, so you have to buy all of it. And I listed all of it, but half of it was broken because this is the holly set, so it had these little holly leaves. And anybody who's picked up or tried to sell Capodimonte, it's so hard for these little delicate like leaves and flowers not to have chips in them, and this was kind of like a paste ceramic. I disclosed all the flaws, took photos of it. Somebody still paid me $39.90 for this, and I paid, I believe, $17 for it. I think that's how much I paid for it. I paid a lot for it because I knew it was going to sell for a lot, even with all the damage, and somebody still doubled my money for it. And this sold relatively quickly considering what it was and how damaged it was. So A+. I will totally pick this up again. I was so giddy when I found it. Still giddy now that I found it. This is also from that estate sale I got kicked out of. This is No Boundaries, which is a Walmart brand. This is from the 90s. So this little strappy maxi dress, I made a profit off of Walmart clothing, and that makes me feel really good. This sold relatively quickly from when I sold it, or when I listed it. So for $10, I was more than happy to let this go, because to be honest, that's probably what it cost at Walmart when it was new. So really nice. This I purchased from an estate sale. I just had a bunch of hats, $1 a hat. Totally happy with that. This sold for $14.87. Just a vintage Kill Devil Hills hat, which is a vacation area in North Carolina. Just so you know. I just thought it was a cool hat. I've been there, picked it up, sold it. Good profit. Charter Club is a Macy's house brand, and this was new with tags, and it's linen. So you got new with tags and you got linen. So of course I picked it up, and it sold for my full asking price of $21.87. So great sale. Super happy with that. These I think sold to another reseller, probably to finish making the set. So this is Winston Churchill. I have bought and sold these books multiple times. Whenever I find them at the bins for like 50 cents, I pick them up. Whenever I find them in estate sales, I pick them up. I don't pay more than like $1 or $2 for them. These ones I paid $5 for all 4 of them at an estate sale, and they sold for $24. I think this is the first 4 in a 6-book set. So I think that they bought them to resell the full set, because that's what when I look. Sometimes when I see someone with a lot of feedback, I check them out to see if there's another reseller that's like buying my stuff to resell it for more. I don't care, honestly. I got what I wanted out of it, and that's all that matters. I'm perfectly happy for someone to buy something from me to sell it for more by having more books. I mean, I have also bought stuff from other resellers, especially books, to like flush out a set. in order to be able to resell the set. So I've also done it. Just to put that out there. So that's what I think happened here. I made my money, sold it for $24. I have, like I said, if I get a single one, I buy and sell them. Perfectly happy with that. This is a pair of vintage 505s, which I've talked about before. These are the orange tab 505s. I love buying and selling vintage black denim. It sells really well for me, sells very, very quickly for me. These vintage 505s. 505 is still a number that is made in men's. The women's 505s are no longer made. So if you find any women's 505s, those are worth picking up. So I thought this was great. Sold it for $35. I paid $9 for this at a thrift store. Love buying and selling vintage pottery. I saw these. These are Brendan Aaronstones. This is the Carly floral pattern, and I picked these. I picked actually a whole set of these up. I paid $7 for the set, and that had a bunch of cups and bowls with it as well. So for $7, I made $29.87 just off these plates. I've also sold the bowls as well, so I made plenty of profit off of that. Sometimes I will do a multi-variation listing for these sets, and sometimes I'll just sell the items as they are. It just depends on when I do my research to look at comps, what's doing better. So this has been sitting behind me, which you have seen in some videos. This is contact paper. I have a whole bloody box of it behind me, of multiple different patterns. I have almost paid myself back now with the number of these that have sold. I paid, I think, a dollar. It's either $2 or $1 per piece for these. I can't remember. But I spent over $100 on this contact paper, and I thought I was gonna make a killing off of them, because at the time I was being fed a lot of TikToks about how to do renter-friendly renovations on your apartment, and a lot of them were like, hey, get contact paper, it's peel and stick, it peels and sticks right off. You know, you can make it so you have like a space that's yours that will still be removable and renter-friendly. So I was like, I'm gonna make a killing, this is awesome. Because there were actually several neat patterns in here, and then it sat for like a year before it started to sell. So I don't know, but I'm happy. Sold for $19.74, and the buyer paid first class shipping for $5 for shipping. I can send these first class. I've gotten really good at Frankensteining boxes for these. As long as they're only buying 2, I can still send it first class. If they buy more than that, then we're gonna have a problem. But other than that, it's good, and I'm happy. I'm very happy. I'm happy that I've almost made my money back, and I still have so much more to sell. It's just gonna be a slow burn, I guess. This is a vintage piece also from that big vintage buyout. So this is pure profit for me. This is a 70s skirt. It was beautifully swishy. This was a wool blend, a size 26, which is technically a women's 4, so a size small. It had a little bit of give in it, so I hope whoever got this loved it. I just thought it was absolutely beautiful. If it was anything other than pink, I probably would have kept it, but we all know my feelings about pink by how much you see I wear. So $19, again, pretty much pure profit, so super happy. This is something I picked up at the bins. I pick up blank journals whenever I find them at the bins. I have made so much money by doing that. There was one time which I found like a whole box of brand new journals that I paid like $1/4 for, and sold them all like within 2 months. And I made so much money off of that because I was selling them for like $10 to $15 a piece. It was awesome. I would love to be able to do that every day. But I paid 50 cents for this. This is a vintage gardening journal, so I knew that this was going to sell. This one I did pay 50 cents for because it was technically a hardcover, and it sold for $7, and the buyer paid for shipping. Super stoked about that. This I did not get at the bins. This is a brand new book. I found this at the DAV. I paid $1 for it, and nobody wanted it when I offered it for $2 on Whatnot, and so someone paid me full price on eBay. It sold for $3.87, and the buyer paid for shipping. So this is great. This is a Harley Davidson shirt. You pick up Harley Davidson shirts, and I get these for really cheap. I paid $3 for this. It sold for $17.87 to my full asking price, and this is from Honduras and Rattan, which is why I think it's sold. I've actually been here. Not to the Harley Davidson, but I've been to Honduras, Rattan before. I've been there. I went snorkeling there, and that was when I realized that I may have a fear of deep water, because there was the coral reef shelf. We went to snorkel the coral reef shelf, and then the guide, because it was just me and the person I was with there, decided to take us out into a different place than he would normally take people, which should be a red flag for some people when you're traveling, but I was trusting because I was young, did not care. Went out, snorkeled, saw starfish like this size, the size of giant beach balls, and then he took us to the edge of the reef, and then it was just darkness, and I was like, no. So I think that's when I discovered that deep water, no. I like being able to see the bottom if I swim far enough down. That was too much for me. That was neat. It was. I would definitely do that again, and just stare at the deep ocean from the reef like I did there. But that was great. This is something I picked up at that estate sale I got kicked out of. Amazing sale. I knew that this would sell quickly. This was a beautiful beaded bodice, long maxi length dress. I'm pretty sure that this probably sold to somebody for their prom. I love selling black clothes. I love wearing black clothes. This sold my full asking price of $34.87. Again, this was a stunning dress, and I am so glad that I saved this dress, this beautiful vintage dress, from the trash. If you have no idea about the video I'm talking about that I got kicked out of an estate sale, I will link it up above. Basically, any of the vintage clothes that I did not stuff in that duffel bag before they kicked me out ended up in the dumpster. So this beautiful dress would have ended up in the dumpster. I'm so glad that it ended up being hopefully a special moment for somebody instead, and got to be worn again and didn't end up in the landfill. So $34.87. I paid roughly $2 for this at that estate sale. This I picked up at New to You. I paid $3 for this at New to You. This is a pair of Y2K Old Navy shorts, and I'm going to show a graphic hopefully over here. Editing Bob is doing that for me, that shows you the different logos. So this is from 1998 to 2005 logo, and that's how I knew I could do Y2K for this. And it sold for $16.87. Like, I have honed in on this logo. Whenever I see it, I pick it up for Old Navy because they have consistently sold well for me, because Y2K is in. If you did not know that, now you know. This I will never pick up again. I have a couple of Y5 shirts that I really, really love. So I have a personal affinity for the brand, but I realized that I should not pick it up to resell. I can pick it up for myself, don't pick it up for resale. This was brand new with tags, so I thought that that would be okay. W5 is a brand that is sold at Marshall's and like TJ Maxx and that kind of stuff. So it's not really sold for a lot there, so to resell it, it's not also going to carry, it doesn't carry much value. So this sold for $8.90. I paid $4 for this at the thrift store, so I doubled my money, but I will not be doing that again. And I'm glad it sold and didn't end up in the landfill. This I bought because it was cute and I didn't want it to get smashed in trash, because in my area, if something doesn't sell within 4 weeks, so a month, at any of our thrift stores, there's like a couple where it's okay, but most of our thrift stores, if it doesn't sell within 4 weeks, it gets smashed in trash, because glass and pottery does not go to our outlets here. So when I saw this, it was a cute little cat ornament. I paid $2 for this at Goodwill in Hampton, and it sold for $6.50. So I made a profit, and this didn't get smashed and trashed. Another item I picked up at the estate sale I got kicked out of. This was just a really cool piece. I love these like vibrant print, like typical 90s pieces. It just makes me think of Will Smith from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Really cool. Sold for $15. I paid, again, roughly $2 for this at that estate sale. So this was an amazing piece. Brand doesn't necessarily matter, but this print mattered. So this next item was mine. I bought this when I worked for Adidas in Annapolis in Maryland. I thought that this was really cute. I thought that I was gonna build like this cosplay with it, and I never did. So I ended up finding it again when I went to my parents' house. I've been trying to be good about any time I go to my parents' house to bring home a box of stuff to either donate, keep, or resell. So that way my stuff is not at their house anymore, because they have plenty of their own stuff. Just try to like help my mom out, I guess. And so I picked this up. I was like, this is probably gonna sit for forever, because this is such a niche piece for Adidas. It was a very niche piece for Adidas. This is actually, they did actually make these, but they didn't make very many of them, so this wasn't a sample. And it's an extra small because I was a very tiny person when I worked for Adidas. I weighed, I think, like 120 pounds when I worked for them. I weigh 100 and almost, like, I weigh 155 now, so I don't think I'm a big lady. So imagine me like 35 pounds less. I was very tiny and very tall. So this sold for, why am I telling you this? It sold for $18.75. It sold, like, I got this offer within 48 hours of me listing it, and I was like, you know what? Sure, take it, have at it. Really cool piece, and I'm glad I went off to a new home and is no longer languishing at my parents' house anymore, because it's literally been there for like 10 years. Just sitting in a closet. So this is another vintage piece. Again, this is from the big vintage buyout that I'm still staring at behind this camera. So this was 100% profit. I styled it with another piece from this, so it looks really nice. This is from the 70s. It sold for $14.50. Again, doesn't necessarily, vintage doesn't, the brand doesn't necessarily matter. If you can style it, or if you can put the right keywords in it, or if it's on trend, you can still sell it. I buy and sell vintage all the time, as you guys can tell. So really happy about this. Anything dark academia, I can get away with putting in the title. So many views. So quick to sell. Love it. This is a Pendleton piece, a vintage Pendleton piece from the 80s, and this sold for $14.30. I'm actually surprised that this sold because I did not style this at all, and it was a very plain gray piece. But it sold, and I'm happy about that. And this is also from the vintage buyout, so pure profit. This is Thomas Pink London. This actually came to me in a ThredUp box, in a men's ThredUp box. I guess somebody thought that this was a men's piece, and it is not, because it was a size 14, which is women's sizing. So I had no choice in this, and I'm glad it sold. It sold for $11.90. I just listed it because I figured it would sell eventually, and I was right. I would not recommend picking this up. This brand does not have good sell-through, but I guess if someone gives it to you for free and you want free profit and don't mind sitting on it in your inventory, go for it. You do you. Another piece I picked up at that estate sale I got kicked out of, this was just too cool not to list. This was, somebody made a vest out of like a chambray shirt. They cut the arms off of it and they cut some random t-shirts apart, and it made this back piece that says what you can see it say here, and I just thought it was too funny not to buy. I paid like $5 for this at that estate sale on the first day that I went, not the day I got kicked out of, on the first day that I went, and it sold for $15 pretty quickly, so I was pretty happy about that. I just again didn't want it to end up in the landfill, and it was it's too funny not to purchase for me personally. This is Lulu's. This is a women's large, which is great. It's very rare that I find Lulu's in larger sizes, and this was new with tags, and it's very on trend. It was a crop style with a nice like wrap front, and it had these beautiful bell sleeves, and it sold for $15.90, and I paid $5 for this at a thrift store, so really happy about that. This is another piece from a men's ThredUp box that I had that sold finally. This is Banana Republic, and these were linen pants, so I went ahead and listed them. Decent brand that I know, and I love buying and selling linen, so I did not pick these out, and I probably would not buy these at the thrift store because these probably would have been marked at like $5 or $6 if I bought them at like Goodwill, or if I bought them at the Dav or any place like that. So I think my buy cost for this men's box was roughly like $3.50 to $4. So just trying to maximize my profit off of the box since it's not stuff I'm technically picking out. So sold for $9. Pretty happy about that. This is a New Yorker magazine. I actually got this for free because I got to pick a hoarder house. I will link that video as well up above if I'm good and actually do that. Sometimes I forget. But this was free. Again, I like buying and selling ephemera, vintage ephemera all the time. These New Yorker magazines, they get bought and sold, one because of the artwork, two because people who live in New York love New York things, and three is because these have exact dates when they were published. So sometimes people buy these like to give as gifts to people that was born on this date. So this was April 27th, 1968. I don't know what of those it is. Also, sometimes resellers buy these and cut the ads out of them. So whenever I market these vintage magazines, I normally list some of the ads that are in it because people do buy these vintage magazines to like cut the ads out and frame them for decor as well. So I recommend if you can get these really cheap, like at an estate sale or something, like they got a stack of these vintage magazines. Maybe think about buying them or not. Again, you do you. Sold for my full price of $14.87. Now, because these have advertisements in them, you cannot ship them via media mail. They did pay for the flat rate envelope in order to get this sent to them. So somebody paid basically, you know, $25 for this magazine that was like 50 years old. Perfectly happy about that, especially since I got it for free. And the last item I have to share with you is more ephemera. This is some Y2K Looney Tune Tweety Bird stickers. I paid $1 for this at a thrift store. It sold for $3.25. Did I make a lot of profit off of it? No, but I wanted to try it. I'd never like tried to buy and sell sealed stickers before. I just thought it was cute. So somebody bought these for me. I probably wouldn't do this again, but it was fun. Stickers can be valuable. Like if you can find the vintage Cabbage Patch Kid stickers that are still sealed, those are worth quite a bit of money. The Garbage Pail Kids, that's what I was thinking. Not Cabbage Patch Kids, Garbage Pail Kids. If you can find those are very valuable. But stickers can be valuable, so don't necessarily pass on them. Most of them have barcodes, so you can look them up. Give it a shot. Maybe you'll have better luck than me. But that's everything that's sold. You can see I got a lot more sales this week. Sales did start to pick up because I was listing more. As you can see, I listed a lot of stuff from that one estate sale. And so when I list more, I sell more. But thank you guys so much for watching, getting things caught up. I appreciate your patience, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, bye. Bye. I buy inside. I promise she likes this, guys. She's just also trying to make sure oh no. I tried to get focus back and it said absolutely not. All right. Are we good? Again, focus.